Well. Representative James Comer of Kentucky, the chair of the House Oversight Committee, is preparing to drop a absolute major bombshell about Joe Biden. In fact, he is so convinced that this evidence is consequential that he's also spoken to the Department of Justice advising them not to indict Hunter Biden. Not to indict. Until the committee's forthcoming announcement. According to Comer, committee members have been meticulously studying bank records and consulting with former associates and whistleblowers, and this bombshell evidence will be released on Wednesday. Quote, "My message to the Department of Justice is very loud and clear. Do not indict Hunter Biden before Wednesday," unquote, Comer told Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures. Quote, "When you have the opportunity to see the evidence that the House Oversight Committee will proceed with respect to the web of LLCs, with respect to the number of adversarial countries that this family influence peddled in, and this is not just about the president's son." He continues, "This is about the entire Biden family, including the President of the United States, so we believe there are a whole lot of tips that the IRS and the DOJ don't know about, because we don't believe they've done a whole lot of digging in this, and we have," unquote, he said. Quote, "By all accounts from the media reports that we're getting, what they're looking at charging Hunter Biden on is a slap on the wrist. It's a drop in the bucket," he continued. "So Wednesday will be a very big day for the American people in getting the facts presented to them so that they can know the truth, and then the Department of Justice can finally do what they should have done years ago," unquote. Here's a clip of the interview.
"My message to the Department of Justice is very loud and clear. Do not indict Hunter Biden before Wednesday, when you have the opportunity to see the evidence that the House Oversight Committee will produce with respect to the web of LLCs, with respect to the number of adversarial countries that this family influence peddled in. This is not just about the president's son. This is about the entire Biden family, including the president of the United States. So we believe there are a whole lot of accounts that the IRS and the DOJ don't know about, because we don't believe they've done a whole lot of digging in this. And we have. We've spent the past 100 days poring over bank documents. I've used subpoena power to get these bank documents. We've been meeting with former associates of the Bidens in their different influence peddling schemes. We've been meeting with whistleblowers. We know exactly what this family was doing. And by all accounts from the media reports that we're getting, what they're looking at charging Hunter Biden on is a slap on the wrist. It's a drop in the bucket. So Wednesday will be a very big day for the American people in getting the facts presented to them so that they can know the truth. And then the Department of Justice can finally do what they should have done years ago.
What?
Well, obviously, the president's son's committed many crimes. I mean, you're looking at potential money laundering. Jonathan Turley comes on Fox all the time and talks about he was essentially a foreign agent for countries like China. He's an unregistered foreign agent. Those are serious crimes. You've got the possible racketeering. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And again, Maria, it's not just the president's son. And we don't believe these countries were paying the Biden family for nothing. We believe they were getting a return on their investment, and the return on the investment would have been policy decisions for then Vice President Joe Biden and current President Joe Biden.
So U.S. Attorney David Weiss of Delaware, appointed by former President Donald John Trump, is considering charges for Hunter Biden related to taxes and lying on a government form when purchasing a firearm. These charges, of course, are not directly related to the Biden crime family pay-to-play corruption schemes, but the new evidence Comer plans to reveal, well, it is. Quote, "We know exactly what this family was doing. We're going to present to the American people all the information that we've received thus far pertaining to the bank records. We're going to disclose many of the different LLCs, many of the different transactions that all these different Biden family members have gotten from our adversaries around the world." We don't believe this was just a coincidence that all these Biden family members were receiving money from this web of LLCs into their personal bag, unquote. Comer added, quote, "We believe this was done in exchange for something that then Vice President Biden and now President Biden would have done. So this whistleblower is going to provide some very crucial information to our investigation. And we've given the FBI until May the 10th to produce this document. So the ball is in the FBI's court with respect to this whistleblower," unquote. So in closing, before we watch the majority of the rest of the interview, as a friend put it after watching James Comer's 14-minute interview with Maria Bartiromo Sunday, either Comer is totally and completely delusional, or the Biden family, including old Lunch Bucket Joe, is going down. Now, the question is, what exactly does going down mean these days in the cesspool that we call Washington, D.C.? Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we?
How much money do you believe the Biden family has taken in? How much money have you been able to identify of cash going to Biden family members?
Well, we're going to dive into that on Wednesday, but it's millions and millions of dollars. I can say that. Hopefully people will pay attention on Wednesday when we have this press conference and they can see actual bank records. So, another thing that's important to note with this investigation, Maria, and I think will make it even more interesting on Wednesday, is more and more evidence is pointing towards Joe Biden. I mean, obviously, Joe Biden was involved in all these things, despite the fact that he's lied to the American people, despite the fact that his press secretary continues to lie about it. We've already produced one wire from one LLC, totaling over $1 million to 4 different Biden family members. And now we're going to produce an additional 5 Biden family members, more countries, more LLCs, more bank accounts. I mean, this thing is much bigger than anyone would have ever predicted. And it all points towards Joe Biden, the big guy.
This is just incredible. So is this money laundering? Is this racketeering? What? They were just taking money and changing policy decisions and announcing policy decisions on behalf of America and pocketing the cash.
Yeah, the LLCs were set up to disguise the sender of the money and to deceive the IRS so they wouldn't have to pay taxes, or else the countries would have just wired the money directly to the Bidens. But they tried to do it through a web of LLCs. I was a director of a bank for over a decade. There's a term that banks use for that. It's called money laundering. And obviously the bank violations that we looked at Treasury, many banks suspected the same thing. So the Department of Justice has a whole menu of options to go after this family on, not just the president's son, but this family. And it's not going to be lying on a gun application or not paying taxes for 1 or 2 calendar years. I don't think they realize how many different LLCs and how much different money the Bidens laundered into their personal accounts. So there's a whole lot of information here for the Department of Justice to use. And by all accounts, I don't think they're aware of the majority of it.
One of the critical decisions that this president made during the first couple of weeks of his presidency was to cancel the China initiative. This is a Trump-era initiative, which was actually indicting those people who were getting paid by Communist China to send intellectual property and information from America back to China. Secretary Pompeo closed down the entire Houston embassy over the surveillance and that, as well as others. Is the China initiative cancellation one of those decisions that Joe Biden got paid for?
Well, it's very suspicious why he did it. I mean, this is one of the worst decisions with respect to national security that Joe Biden made as president. And he did it right out of the bat. And the person that he had that at the time that was making the pitch to the FBI to drop the China initiative because they said it was racially profiling Asian student was the then president of the University of Pennsylvania, who is now Biden's appointee as ambassador to Germany. And remember, the University of Pennsylvania was getting tens of millions of dollars from anonymous donations from China. Maria, this stinks to high heaven.
Most of this came by way of PJ Media. If you liked it, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. There's a PayPal link in the description box, so please put $1 in the bucket on the way out the door. I'd like to thank everyone for all your donations. They're much needed and much appreciated. Now, with all that being said, we'll see you next time.
All right. Come on, move. Move. Easy, easy.